This is Mac OS Ken.
JP Morgan's not worried about the App Store. News on iPhones from and for India. And Apple raises accessibility awareness. It is Wednesday, the 14th of May, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Insta360's new X5. Get an invisible selfie stick when you buy an X5 standard bundle at store.insta360.com with code MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee is still not worried about the Epic ruling against Apple. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Tuesday. Pulling from parts of that part, he's not worried about in-app purchases going away. The crux of the ruling in the case was about whether developers could direct potential buyers to their own sites, not whether they owed Apple anything for purchases made in the App Store. Along a similar line, he thinks Apple will end up with a percentage of sales made outside of the App Store, presumably if those sales were facilitated by a link from an app or in the App Store. The whole point of the original ruling, in his estimation, was to foster or perhaps simply not hinder competition for the App Store. But 27% is so close to 30%, Apple's new rules were likely seen by the court as still hindering competition. When it's all said and done, Chatterjee thinks developers will have to pay Apple something for those purchases, less than the 27% that Apple had imposed, but more than the 0% they're currently paying. The big question right now, in Chatterjee's estimation, is whether Apple can get a stay on the recent ruling while the appeal works its way through the system. Actually, the analyst doesn't see that as an if, but more of a when. He points to precedent on that, noting that the Ninth Circuit Court did grant Apple a stay during its last appeal. Even if they can't get a stay, though, he sees the hit to Apple's earnings per share as 2% to 3% at most. Chatterjee has an overweight rating on Apple's shares. His price target on the shares is $240. Multiple reports about Apple putting the pedal to the metal on production in India. Now a piece from Apple Insider has numbers to throw at that story. Citing a report from Business Standard, the piece says reports from vendors to the Indian government show the value of Apple exports from India to the United States in April hit a little over $2 billion US. That's a little more than double the value of the same exports from April of 2024. No, didn't happen overnight. But the on-again, off-again threat of tariffs on imports from China to the U.S. seems to have had Apple putting the pedal to the metal. Given continued uncertainty between D.C. and the Middle Kingdom, one could expect growth of iPhone production in India to continue. While India is cranking out iPhones for the U.S., last quarter was not a great quarter for smartphones for India itself. Was really good for iPhone, though. That is the latest from IDC. A report from that firm earlier this week had smartphone shipments for the subcontinent down 5.5% versus the first quarter of 2024. Not great for smartphones as a whole, as I say, though was pretty stellar for iPhone. According to the report, Apple registered the highest year-on-year growth of 23% among the top 5 brands, shipping a first quarter record of 3 million units in the first quarter of 2025. iPhone 16 was the highest shipped model, accounting for 4% of overall India shipments during the quarter. That, plus a cratering of shipments from Xiaomi, was enough to move the Cupertino company into the top 5 versus its 6th place finish for the year-ago quarter. Last quarter, Apple was 5th with a 9.5% market share, Realme was 4th with a 10.6% share, Oppo was 3rd with a 12% share, Samsung was second with a 16.4% share, and Vivo held fast to the top spot with a 19.7% share of the Indian market. Apple's tvOS notes it finally caught up with the latest tvOS release. A day after the arrival of tvOS 18.5, a piece from Mac Rumors has word on what it does. 'Tis an audio fix, it seems. According to Apple's Better Late Than Never release note, the update adds support for synchronizing Dolby Atmos playback to speakers over AirPlay or Bluetooth. This seems to have been an issue for some. Mac Rumors points to multiple complaints on Reddit and the Apple support forums about Dolby Atmos audio syncing issues with a range of hardware, including third-party soundbars and speakers, as well as Apple's own HomePods. On affected devices, the piece says, users find that dialogue and other audio can be slightly out of sync with the content that's playing, so lips don't move correctly when people speak in TV shows and movies, and sound effects like explosions are delayed. If this has been a problem for you, tvOS 18.5 should fix it. To enable said syncing, Apple directs users to Settings, then Video and Audio, then Wireless Audio Sync. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Insta360, and their new 360-degree camera, X5. Used to be that dropping your camera in water was the end of things for that camera. With X5, could be the start of amazing shooting. The action-oriented X5 lets you go deeper than any Insta360 before. Its waterproof rating lets it travel down 15 meters. That is 49 feet without a dive housing. And what it comes up with is stellar. Larger sensors deliver Insta360's best 8K 360-degree video yet. You're catching everything, so you can shoot first and frame later, all with exceptional image quality. The lenses are stronger, the sound is better. The X5 takes capturing 360-degree video to new heights. Or depths. Head to store.insta360.com to see what they have and use code MacOSKen for a free 45-inch invisible selfie stick with your X5 standard bundle purchase. The pull disappears from 360 footage, leaving people to wonder how you get the shots you got. It's a $24.99 value, but it's free for the first 30 people who go to store.insta360.com and buy an X5 standard bundle with code MacOSKen. Shoot every angle at once. Get your free invisible selfie stick when you buy an X5 standard bundle with code MacOSKen at store.insta360.com. The European Union's Digital Markets Act seems to be working for PayPal and its users in Germany. A piece from Mac Rumors says users in the Bundesrepublik are able to set PayPal as iPhone's default payment app over Apple Pay. That lets those users assign the payment method to iPhone's NFC tap-to-pay functionality. Users can also use the device's side button to bring up PayPal as a payment option for one-tap contactless payments in retail locations without a PayPal credit card or debit card. Mac Rumor says the PayPal Apple Pay functionality is expected to expand to other European countries in the coming months. Apple Music and Universal Music Group, or UMG, have teamed up on something. It's a thing that, if you saw it in a movie, it would either be part one of a cautionary tale on thought control, or the scam on which some rapscallion seeks to build his perpetually tilting empire. And yet, in the Associated Press release, Apple and UMG say, "Science!" What they've introduced is a set of 3 playlists under the banner Sound Therapy. According to the release, the collection leverages cognitive science and UMG's roster of global superstars, adding subtle auditory beats to well-known curated tracks, aiming to help listeners focus, relax, and sleep. Thankfully, not all at once. Those are the 3 separate playlists: Maintain Focus, Time to Relax, and Made for Sleep. Songs from the likes of Imagine Dragons, Katy Perry, Casey Musgraves, and others have been enhanced with auditory beats or colored noise to help encourage specific brain responses, according to the release. The collection was crafted by a team of producers, scientists, and audio engineers at Solos, a music wellness outfit incubated within UMG's London offices. Apple says it will work with the other 2 companies to further establish scientific evidence supporting music and audio for improved well-being. Because data on that would be neat. Tomorrow is World Accessibility Awareness Day, and Apple got a jump on it yesterday. The company issued an extensive press release highlighting new accessibility features coming to Apple's ecosystem later this year. Among them are accessibility nutrition labels. Similar to the privacy nutrition labels, these will highlight accessibility features within apps and games. There's Magnifier for Mac, similar to the functionality that's been on iPhone and iPad since 2016. Deeper integrations for Braille, a new system-wide reading mode called Accessibility Reader. Live captions are coming to Apple Watch, and there are expanded vision accessibility features for Apple Vision Pro. Additionally, there are improvements on the way for existing accessibility features. Those include expansion and refinement of personal voice, vehicle motion cues, eye tracking for iPhone and iPad, head tracking for iPhone and iPad, and that list goes on. Then around all of that, there's the whole raising awareness part of accessibility awareness. That'll include dedicated tables spotlighting accessibility features at Apple retail locations, a new workout for Apple Fitness Plus, and accessibility-focused content for Apple Music, Apple Books, Apple Podcasts, Apple TV Plus, and Apple News. And finally today, Apple's weird circle of content creation has finally met back up with itself. Apple TV Plus is making a TV show based on a podcast produced by Apple TV Plus. In an oddly worded press release, the Cupertino streamer announced that it had landed Wild Things, a limited series based on the buzzy Apple original podcast, Wild Things, Siegfried and Roy. Oh, it's about Siegfried and Roy, by the way. Here's the part that's weird to me. Apple landed the video version of an audio show created by Apple. That would be like me bragging about landing the video rights to macOS Ken, wouldn't it? Maybe I should issue a press release. Hey, speaking of those, according to Apple's Wild Things release, the 8-episode hour-long series tells the wild ride relationship tale of the 2 greatest showman magicians in history who, along with their white tigers, are tasked with turning Las Vegas into a family-friendly destination. The duo push the concept of illusion versus reality to the extreme, personally and professionally, until tragedy reframes and opens a mystery surrounding their last, fateful Las Vegas show. Andrew Garfield will star as one of them, Jude Law will star as the other. Only Murders in the Building co-creator John Hoffman will write, EP, and run the show. No word on a Wild Things premiere date. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Insta360's new X5. Get an invisible selfie stick when you buy an X5 standard bundle at store.insta360.com with code macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.